Hello and welcome to the Nails and Hammers podcast. Our guest for today is Salwa Mubarak, who is the founder of Rayon, the Bollywood satirical page. We talked with Salwa about her education, working in the fashion industry, starting Rayon, and finally talk about her creative process and how she stays at the top of her game. We hope that you enjoy listening to this episode as much as we enjoyed talking to Salwa, and it's time to listen and learn.
Okay, so Silva, thank you for joining us on the Nails and Hammers podcast.
Thank you for having me.
We both love your Rayon magazine. It's one of my favorite satire pages.
Thank you.
Okay, so first of all, just tell us how's the lockdown been for you all the last year? How's that been?
I think it's one of those rare times when literally everybody has gone through similar experiences, like all around the world, regardless of your gender, race, whatever. But it's been, I think, so I work free, like I don't work, like I don't work for anybody. I freelance and I have run my own, thing. So I didn't have that, like I wasn't going through the same thing as most other people were doing, like with coordinating with job and also I had a relatively it was normal for me mostly because I spent my entire day at home already. So it was fairly normal, but then that started happening, I don't know if, I don't know what to call it. It's like that productivity fatigue, I guess, because I had that thing that we have to be productive because now everybody's at home and now we have to create content and whatever, we have to work extra hard because it's not normal, we are staying at home 24/7. So that started settling in in the later half of the year. But I think we've all gotten very used to our new normal. So I guess now I think it's fine only now. Now where we are so tenacious, now it's all fine. Now this is our reality. So now it doesn't appear odd. Yeah.
I think we all had that phase. Yeah. I think at the beginning of the pandemic, I read somewhere that it was during a pandemic and when he was quarantined when Shakespeare wrote King Lear. So I guess that added production, added pressure for being productive.
Yep.
Definitely.
So now let's start from the very beginning. Where did you grow up and what all did you study?
So I grew up in Delhi only, and I live in Delhi now only, and I live with my parents. And I studied in Delhi. So as I said, I studied in Delhi only, and then I moved to Hyderabad for my graduation and stuff. I moved to Hyderabad for NIFT, and then I moved to Bombay for a year to work, and then I moved back to Delhi for a year, and then I moved back to Bombay. So it's been like that. So it's just been between Bombay, Delhi, and Hyderabad. Yeah.
So, did you know what you wanted to be when you were growing up?
No, not at all. I'm a very basic person. I didn't have any I was never passion. Like my sister, elder sister. So she's she's the eldest sister. She's a bit of a kiss-ass. So my dad's a doctor. So she always knew that she has to be a doctor, regardless of what she if she's good at it or not. She just wanted to be a doctor. So she had that. But I was just one day I I realized that I really like lemons, so I wanted to become a lemon seller. And then one day I realized I was moderately good at drawing and stuff, so I wanted to become an artist. But then as as I started growing up, I started really liking reading books. I was obsessed with reading books, and so that sort of that's what made me want to write books. I could not write books, but I realized that I could at least write. So I think that gave me some sort of direction, and then that's how we land. But I did study fashion communication in college, which was nothing to do with what I'm doing right now. So again, it was kind of so yeah. So I guess I had some direction, but I did not know entirely what I wanted to do while growing up.
So I think was it right after college that you started working for Air India? Was that right after college or?
No, so I interned. So we in our college, in NIFT, we have to do for 6 months for your last semester. You have to do an internship with whatever your company of choosing, wherever you want to work after. So I chose Cosmopolitan because ever since I was a little girl, I wanted to work at Cosmopolitan because it was the Bible and whatnot. As I said, basic. But so I wanted to do that. So I got an internship in the styling department for some reason, and I literally on a normal day I dress up like a 13-year-old boy. So but somehow I was just I was asked to join the styling department for internship. So, but that went horribly. Like my entire 6 months, it was really bad. Like I ended up meeting really nice people, but the experience was horrible because I was asked to style models and like, I was asked to accompany on shoots and stuff, which I had no idea what to do. So, but then at the like end of it, at the last month, one of the digital writers over there, they realized that, because I used to help out a little bit over there. So they kind of asked me to kind of shift to that department for a month. And I realized that I really liked it. And they also realized that I was a much better fit over there. So they asked me to come back after college, but I didn't. I went to Bombay to work in an advertising agency, which was a horrible idea because I'm really, really bad at thinking of like, things like, on my feet and like, so I left that job and then I came back to Cosmo and then I worked for a year and then Elle called and sort of like, offered me a job and it was like, I was already looking for a change by then. And that's why I moved to Bombay to work at Elle.
So then while you were at Elle, you wrote a piece on nepotism. When like Saif, Varun and Karan Johar said something in IFA.
Yes.
So what made you write it and what was your reaction when Saif responded to it?
So, a little bit of background. So again, like, at Elle, I used to write for like fashion and stuff, but I really wanted to do Bollywood stuff because I am obsessed with Bollywood. So my editor, we had a deal that I could write all these nonsensical, like, Bollywood pieces as long as I like, hold up my end of the deal where I write all these like, very think pieces and like fashion, all that stuff and all. So that when the IFA thing happened with like Saif Ali Khan and these guys, Varun Dhawan and Karan Johar. So I was like, listen, I have to write about this. I told my editor, and she was just like, yeah, sure, go ahead, we'll do it. And usually these pieces are always buried under all our content and nobody actually reads it aside from me. And maybe like, the couple of people in my office, which I made them read it. So, we just wrote it and then it kind of blew up because it was kind of trending at that time and people started reading it. So I was just like, oh, cool. Like, a lot of people are reading. I didn't realize that it got like that, like, it got his attention as well. And then I had already put in my notice at Elle at that time. And it was, I think, my last week at Elle when this happened. So I was already like, mentally checked out from like the entire like thing. And then somebody started like, messaging me that, oh my God, like Saif Ali Khan is like mad at you or whatever. It's like, why? What's wrong with him? Like, why is he mad at me? Like, what? I could not even comprehend what was happening. And then I read it and I was just like, that's just so lame. Like, why? He's a grown man. Like, why is he like behaving like this? And he did say it, right? It's not like I made up the fact that he said it like I do now. But at that time I didn't like him. So it was really funny, but it was also really like, why is he like I was kind of but it also kind of made me a little bit sad. Not sad, but I was a little bit it made me real, like it kind of, that time it hit me that people are reading what I'm writing, which is stupid because I had been writing for 2 years and people were reading. But at that particular moment, I received a reaction, however, like, bad, good, whatever it was. That time it actually hit me that people are actually reading what I'm writing. So I felt a little bit bad for him also, because he's a human being and he read, and he must have felt bad or whatever. Like, he like, enough to respond. So I felt bad also. And then, that's why I started, like, then I was just like, no, I kind of, thoda idealistically, I was just like, no, I kind of have to write something that, that matters. I don't know. Now I write such like absurd stuff which doesn't matter, but still that at that time it's just like, people are actually reading what I'm writing. So I can't just continue, like, again, it's not belittling anything, but I can't continue to write about like 15 platform shoes that you need to own, like, this summer, otherwise your summer will be incomplete or whatever. So yeah, that's what it made me feel, I guess.
So then what made you decide that you wanted to start Rayon?
Virat Kohli and Anushka Sharma's wedding and my reaction to it. So I had already, like, I had left my job and I had no idea what to do, because I'm a privileged kid and I could do that. I could leave my job without thinking. I was very unhappy with my job and I left it and I came back home, and because it was my sister's wedding, so I could not actually think of like what to do next, because you know how weddings are, right? I mean, everybody's just like wedding. So so till December I was just involved with the wedding, and then it was on the back of my head, like what I wanted to do, sort of, like, and I was freelancing also side by side. But then this one happened, his wedding, these guys, and I was hooked to my phone. Like when these events, big events used to happen, when we were working, like Taimur's birth or like, that's the biggest event that I can think of. So we would be on our phone because we worked in a digital space, and if we didn't put it out before, somebody else would, right? And that would mean less engagement for us at that time. So that kind of, I think, made my, like, physiologically my body was attuned to that, I think. And when suddenly this happened, I was like hooked to my phone, like looking for pictures and looking for, like, mentally making up headlines and tweets and stuff. So then I kind of, like, I had to, like, it's like, what am I doing? Like, why am I so, like, why is my body, like, so charged up, and what is happening? So I was like, this is, like, so I started, like, and I wrote something just to make fun of myself. I wrote, like, something, how, like, whatever, how to deal with the fact that you're not invited to this wedding or something like that. And then a self-help, like, article like that. And that kind of, I showed it to my friends and they kind of laughed. And that I was just like, oh, maybe, like, so I tried a couple of them and I posted it online on this page, like, initially, and I got a really good reaction. So I was just like, oh, I can do that. And then I was already a fan of pages like Reductress and The Onion and Clickhole and stuff. So I was like, oh, I don't see any, like, pages like these. I didn't see any at that time. So I was like, oh, this is something that I can do, and I have free time right now. Why not? And so that's how it started, and that's how, like, now it's been about 3 years. So.
Yeah, that's great. I think there's Jasprit Bumrah's wedding in a few days, so I'm hoping more people get inspired by that.
I think we are saturated now. Celebrity weddings.
Yeah. So after you got a lot of validation from your friends and, like, a few peers, did you have some goals in mind that would encourage you to write more?
No. And I consciously, like, kept it that way because I realized that the thing that happened with me in why I left my job, and both my jobs actually, in, like, Cosmo and this, was the fact that the need to constantly produce and to constantly, like, meet these goals and meet these, like, kind of goals that we had only set. Like, it was not like the company would shut down if those goals weren't met. It's just that we just, like, it just was there. And I know it's silly because, like, it's a business after all and people have to write, but I could not deal with that. I could not work like that. I could not work just, like, I have to produce, say, 7 stories a day and, like, stuff like that. So I consciously made up my mind that I would let it happen organically because this is not something that I'm relying on for, like, financial support or at least at that time. And I was just like, this is something that I'm doing just for, like, it's just something that I want to do. So I will not set up any of these goals. Let it happen organically. So whatever has happened over the 3 years, it has happened organically, whatever decisions and stuff, whatever I felt at that time. So a lot of people were telling me when it started picking up that, oh, you should do this, you should do that, you should, like, monetize it this way and all. And I'm not saying that's wrong. I think it's smart that, if you're, like, creating something that is getting attention, that you can, but it just didn't. I was like, if it happens organically, I will do it. And that's why I just stayed away from it very consciously.
How did you come up with that name?
So rayon is an artificial fabric. It's like, it's not fully artificial. It's like made with cotton, like, leftovers and, like, synthetic material. So it's kind of half, like, fake. So there's that, like, because my news is also, like, halfway true, halfway fake. And also, like, there's this fashion magazine called Nylon. And, like, all these fashion magazines, they have some kind of, like, pretentious names, like, like that, Nylon, polyester and stuff like that. Like, why not rayon? So I did it. Like rayon.
Okay.
Silly.
So, I mean, we saw a lot of your posts, and then you post a lot on, like, cultural discourses and, like, stupid things that celebrities say. So how do you think humor influences cultural discourse, and how do you try to do that?
I don't know if it answers this particular question, but at least I felt whatever I've learned, whatever content I engage with, I think I retain it much better if it's told through the medium of humor. And if it's kind of, even, like, if it's told through the medium of satire or, like, absurdist humor, or, like, say, right now, even memes, like, I'd say that they're really, really effective in that. So I think for people like me, or people who, I think it helps retain, it kind of helps me become more sensitized to the kind of, like, the stuff that is happening around. I think humor is a much, much better way to kind of deal and cope with everything that is going on. So I feel, and because literally, like, everything is on fire right now, like, you can't, like, you can't read any news without action. So if it's told through the medium of humor, I think, like, I don't know if that answers the question, but at least that's what I feel, like, that's how humor plays a part on, like,
Yeah. So right now, is it just you who does everything, or do you have other people helping you out?
It's just me. And I had an intern a while back, and so that she helped out a little bit. And then I have a freelance writer who helps out a couple of, but mostly it's just me and my desk. And like,
so how many hours do you think a day you spend on Instagram? Is that a lot?
An unhealthy amount. Like already my mental health is completely all because I'm always on Instagram. I'm always on these celebrities profiles and always like Pinkvilla, like, you know, I mock Pinkvilla a lot, but I think Pinkvilla, like people are earning mostly because of me, only because I'm always interacting with their website, always like, you know, clicking. So I think we have that relationship where like, you know, we feed off of each other. But so always I'm 24/7 on like Instagram or Twitter, because like, you know, again, it's become like that weird thing like which I wanted to avoid, but it's just like that, like, you know, there is the fear of missing out on anything that is happening on ground. I have to know everything. So I went for my friend's wedding earlier, like, you know, a couple of months back, and I was in Ambala for like 5 days I think, and there was no internet there. And I mean, there was internet, but there was no service there. And for 4 or 5 days I couldn't access like Twitter or Instagram, and I was convinced that the world is on, like, you know, something has happened, and I'm like and then when I came back I realized nothing had happened, like literally nothing. People were enjoying their New Year's, and like maybe Sara Ali Khan went to Maldives and nobody cares. So so that so I'm always fearing, like, you know, that something is happening and I'm not noticing.
I mean, it has been 3 years since you started Rayon. What do you think of the progress that you have made so far, and what are your plans for the future ahead?
As for the progress, I think like it's been really again, it's like really not my place to say, but I think we've created this conversation about satire and parody, I guess, more in the mainstream context, because Bollywood and stuff is mainstream in our, like, you know, culture, and there was no other, like, you know, this thing which was doing it at this time in, like, you know, online space, like on Instagram. So I think that is really that is something that I'm really proud of. And like, and also like, I think I've built a community, I guess. Like there are people who get it. Like, you know, it's not like, no, like there are, like, from the thousands of comments that I like, or messages that I get about, like, you know, oh, Katrina Kaif did not say that. Katrina Kaif did not like say that she, like, you know, whatever, she throws knives at people or whatever. But there are like a lot of people who get it also. So I think that what I'm really proud of is the fact that there's a community which has been going on since 3 years, and like, you know, and we interact, like we, like, you know, whatever we've grown together and stuff. So that's really cool, I think.
So like you said, sometimes people don't get that it's satire. Has a Bollywood actor or a celebrity ever saw something about themselves and got surprised or something?
I think yes. I think more times than not. I think some people like Farhan Akhtar and Arjun Kapoor, they're really cool about it, that they do, like even Sonam Kapoor, they understand that this is, like, you know, whatever satirical thing, a parody. So they interacted with you know, that context in their mind. But it was, I think, Vicky Kaushal, and so Vicky Kaushal went. So we have this. How long? I don't know how long you guys have been following the week, but we have this running joke on our.
Vicky Kaushal doesn't think Urmila Matondkar is that.
That one. So he went on an interview and he said that, and he actually tweeted that he was really offended by it. And that was really silly. And then he went on this interview and he said that, you know, somebody did that, and he did not get that, you know, it's a parody page. So there's that. And then another actor, his team mailed me, and they were like, oh no, give us the links of where he said it, and, like, you know, otherwise take it down. And I was like, listen, this is a satirical page, I'm not taking it down. And so they were like, oh, at least issue a disclaimer. I was like, cool, I'll do that. And I issued a disclaimer, like, you know, that this guy does not understand satire or whatnot. So yeah, so that has happened.
So I mean, like, you have to keep track of everything that's going around, in the world. So how do you stay at the top of your game?
Oh, I'll tell you when I don't know. I don't think I'm on top of my game. I think I can do a lot better in terms of productivity, in terms of everything, managing my time. I work an unhealthy amount of, like, you know, time. So I don't think that's also healthy. And even staying on Twitter and stuff like all the time is not healthy. So I don't know. I don't think I'm on the top of my game, but I think, like, just understanding that, I think being self-aware about that and trying to, like, you know, change that, I think that's how you can stay at the top of the game. I think you should understand the fact that, you know, you should be dynamic about this, I guess.
So yeah, you've written a lot about pop culture and Bollywood, you know, satire and non-satire. So what has that taught you about the actors and their fans, and how is it different from what you believed as a child what Bollywood was? How has it changed?
Oh God, I can't even tell you. I moved to Bombay as an adult, as a 25-year-old adult, with the goal in mind that I have to meet Shah Rukh Khan. I think whatever I'm doing, I'm like, somehow everything will lead me to meet Shah Rukh Khan, which I kind of only 30% believe now. But I think now the fact that writing about it and going behind the scenes about it and being a part of that side of the industry about it is also like, now I've realized that it's all manufactured. It's not organic. It's not as organic. It's not like, okay, I'll say it's like, it's not balanced, like, the balance between organic and what is manufactured. And as a kid, I mean, you always wanted to believe that, oh, like, whatever they're saying is true, but now you realize what all goes behind it, how much like their image, their what they're saying, how they're presenting themselves, what they're wearing, how they're looking, everything is extremely curated and created, like, in keeping in mind, like, how to sell them and how to market them. So that's what I realized, I think. And that's what made me kind of take them, like, kind of humanize them a little bit. So in a good way and a bad way, I think both ways, like, my illusion was shattered. So now I don't, like, I think of them as humans. Earlier I used to like shiver when I was interviewing like people, or like, I used to be like, okay, I used to fumble and stuff, but now I was like, they are humans only. Like, okay, they're just better looking humans than the past, but like, they're just humans at the end of the day, right?
So then when you said interview, like, who was your first interview?
Sonakshi Sinha. Yeah, Sonakshi Sinha.
How was it? Did you enjoy it?
So I accompanied my this other writer who was interviewing, and I accompanied her to help her out because I was a digital girl at Cosmo. So to get like bites for social media and stuff. So I was like fully like, shivering, and I was like, Sonakshi Sinha. And I didn't even like Sonakshi Sinha at that time. And Sonakshi Sinha was surprisingly nice about it. I mean, why wouldn't she? I mean, she wouldn't suddenly like kick my phone away, right? So she was pretty nice about it. But she was fine. Like, I think it was a very weird experience because I was so like caught up in my own feelings that I didn't experience what was happening. And then later, like, later it started making more sense and everything. But that time everything is all blank. I was like, Sonakshi Sinha se milne ja rahi hu.
Yep. So I mean, you post a lot about old Bollywood movies. So do you really enjoy watching them, or do you just watch it for the content?
No, I love watching them. Like, I love, as I said, I grew up watching them. My father really loves Bollywood movies, and I was the middle child, right? I have like 4 sisters. So I have to stand out, right? I have to stand out, and I have to like, get for attention, and like, so that's how I realized that, I can bond with my parents is like, movies at that time. It started like as an unhealthy, like, that sort of a thing that, this is, but then I started realizing I love Bollywood movies. I love movies, and I like, so growing up, so all these movies I actually enjoy, I actually like watching. But now with the context of like, all the exposure that we've had, all the education that we've had, and all the experiences and interactions that we've had over like, our over my growing up years with other people, it kind of gives you a different way of looking at all these movies. So, and it's kind of, and all like, it's also like for the content. I mean, I won't deny that, it's not just for like, content also, but I also enjoy watching these movies. And so all these, sometimes I watch horrible movies for this, like, for the sake of content, like Sadak and Love Aajkal.
And do you think the movies that we see today will hold up like 20 years from now?
I hope not. I mean, I hope Houseful people like realize how more trash house continue to like, realize what trash Houseful 4 is like, I don't think so I think again, like, context, nothing can be absolutely perfect. Like, even if like we seek to create, like, create the most perfect movie, later, like, we'll realize, like, there are a lot of things, like, we'll learn, like, in the future, like, so I really loved, let's say I really like say Jab We Met. I recently watched it, so that's fresh in my mind. So when I saw Jab We Met as a like, child first, as like, when it debuted, when it released for the first time, I saw it with a different lens, right? But now as I grew up and I had like different experiences, now I realize the same thing that I'm watching, and I say I liked it also, but I also realized there are a lot of things that were wrong with it, or that were like, shouldn't have happened. Like, this is not funny, right? Like the rape jokes and all were not funny. So so I don't think anything can be perfect. So I think context matters, I think. So we can't completely hate, like, jab we met, or we can't say that it's not, like, it shouldn't have been made. It was made in that context, right? So yeah.
Yep. Do you think Saif has come across Rayon ever?
I think so. I mean, I hope so. I would like to think that they read my Taimur Ali Khan post and they.
Yeah, there's a lot about him. So.
There's a lot about him, right? I just this morning only I was telling my sister I haven't posted about him for, like, a long time. I think I should. And she's like, "Are you listening to yourself? Like, he's a kid." So yeah. So I hope so, but but I think, like, he's learned, like, his lessons to not react, not like for me, but like general, to not react to, like, the internet. So I think he'll keep quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah, this is a very vague question. What do you think of Coffee with Karan?
It's, again, I think it's one of those things, a good example of one of those things which we liked as kid, but now it's just like, was it really necessary?
Right.
But I, like, again, as I said, there is a part of me that really enjoys watching it because Bollywood content. And obviously, I mean, like, even if I say that now the illusion has shattered and, like, Bollywood celebrities are human, there's always that sense of, like, this is a candid chat, like, I know for a fact it's not as candid as they want us to believe, So I do enjoy it, but now I'm wary of it. Now I just watch it with, like, that lens. I'll watch it, but I know it's not, like, anything that, it's all, there's nothing like scandalous or there's nothing like that about it. So now that, like, cynicism has kind of settled. I'm like that jaded, like, my parents and my sisters are watching it very, like, oh my God, he said that, and I'm just sitting casually, like, haha, like, this is all fake kids, like, stuff like that.
When you watch it, do you think of what you will post about it, or what are you thinking of Instagram headlines in your mind when you're watching it?
Yes. Unfortunately, yes. Unfortunately, that is true for most content. As it's true for now, if I watch a movie, I'm just like, oh, if I'm watching it for Rayon, what will I say? So now it's become very obnoxious. Like, I'm like, in my head only, like, I'm annoying myself only. Like, okay, no, I had to. But I do think that, oh, like, this will make for a funny, like, quote, or this will make for a funny post. I do think that.
Yep. So now we are at the last section of the podcast. It's a rapid fire round. Say whatever that comes to your mind first. Okay. So I mean, on your author page of Film Companion, you mentioned that you use your free time to discover different types of Kit Kat. So what's your favorite Kit Kat that you found?
Kit Kat Chunky is supreme. I had Kit Kat peanut butter also, which is not bad at all, but I think Kit Kat Chunky is a classic. So yeah.
What's your favorite satire page?
The Reductress.
Yeah.
Favorite Bollywood conspiracy theory you have come across?
It's my theory. It's my own theory that Ranbir Kapoor and all the actors in the, like, of that generation, they kind of conspired to send Fawad Khan, like, back to Pakistan just so he doesn't overshadow them. So it's not proven, and a lot of people have proved me wrong also in this, but I'm still convinced that this is what, like, that rat has done.
Favorite Shah Rukh Khan film?
Veer Zara.
What's the Rayon headline you are most proud of?
That Siddharth Malhotra got catfished by a pair of birds, not once but twice. It's so silly, it doesn't make any sense, but it's just like, yeah.
Okay, the last one. What's your favorite non-Rayon Meera Rajput headline?
That she won the internet with her purple lehenga and glowing skin. Because how else would you win the internet?
Right.
So that's the end of the podcast, Salwa. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed talking to you.
It was really fun. I always like talking about myself. So.
Of course.
That's great. Yeah.